Hi, this is Steven, and in this video I want to begin looking at components in Maya. Up to this point we've only dealt with objects, like our primitives. We can move and scale and rotate those objects and do a couple things, move the pivot point and rotate, but you're limited. In this video let's take a look at what makes up these objects, which are its edges and your vertices and your faces, and we can begin to manipulate those in the same way we were manipulating the whole object, meaning we can move and scale and rotate those things. So to access the component level of an object, you right click and hold, and you see a marking menu where you can go and select an edge or a vertex or face, or in multi-mode I can select all three. So these are your vertexes, your edges, and all the same selection rules apply. I'm going to go, let's do face mode. So I can shift select to select multiple. I can use the marquee. If I do a shift select, I can add to that selection. But one thing to note when you're working with components is that by default, when I make a selection, it not only selects what I can see, but also on the back side. And that is determined by our selection settings. So let's take a look in your selection settings, and there's something called camera-based selection. If I turn that on, then whatever I select, it's only going to select what's visible. So if I go into anything that wasn't visible will not be selected, versus when it's off, it does select things in behind. So that's one thing to remember. Another thing is if you want to deselect a group, you can hold down Control and deselect. And as before, if you hold down Shift, it's going to add to the selection. Now, if you hold down Shift and make a marquee over something already selected, it's going to toggle it, meaning what's selected will become unselected and what's unselected will become selected. So those are a couple things to remember about the selection tool, and other than that, just you can begin moving and scaling and rotating on a component level. And now how that scales and rotates depends on the tool settings. So I'm pulling this out, and I think I have this set to world axis. So see, suppose I wanted to pull directly and kind of perpendicular to that face. Well, I'm on the world setting, so it's kind of can be a challenge. But if I double click the move or the scale, I can change my axis orientation to the object, and now this is more perpendicular to the face, or I think there's a face normal, which I think I have too many objects. If I had one object, maybe that would work. That doesn't seem to work. Okay, but you get the idea. By default, it's world. A couple things to remember. I wouldn't go too far in your settings now. It can just be confusing. I will definitely touch on those later. But this should get you started with component modeling, and go and experiment. Start moving and scaling vertices and edges, and begin making your own shapes. In the next video, I will start talking about how to add geometry to your shapes in the form of extrusions and edge loops and that sort of thing. And that's where the possibilities with component modeling really come to life. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.